Hi. I hope the camera will behave tonight. I do have a few things open that I don't feel like closing. What brings me here is kind of odd. It's been underlying my experience for a little while now. A happiness. Not that quiet joy that's always there. There's a different feel to it. And I look down and it says it's still January 1st, and I'm surprised. To me, somehow, it feels like we're 2 weeks into January, and it's been here all that time. So right now, I'm out of time sync. And I won't try to figure it out, because I don't need to, and it doesn't matter. And mine doesn't do well in these areas. But I did want to share it with you. It's kind of funny. In one of the conversations with them, my 12D soul family told me that 2013 would be lighter for me. I really didn't expect to feel it immediately. I don't know what it is, if it's attributable to anything in particular. But I did want to share that. I feel like it's been there, maybe all along, but I just haven't noticed it. I don't know. Maybe it's too new. But anyway, I do have a journal, a written journal this time, that I'd like to share with you. And I hope you enjoy reading it or hearing it with as much joy as I had as it came through. And it was on Christmas Eve, 12/24, and it was the first journal of that day, and the Mayan day was 8 star, 8 Lamat, or rabbit. Death is an illusion. Have you satisfied yourself of the truth of this yet? If not, it's a great freedom, this stepping back from appearances, that awaits you. It awaits your pleasure. You'll come to it when you're ready. Death is an illusion. Actually, it will come to you. Another of those wonders that await our pleasure is recognition that life brings everything to us. We don't have to go and seek it. If preparation is required for this or that, then that's brought to us as well. We're simply pulled into it. So, in addition to dropping all belief in death as being anything real, we can drop all of our seeking. Yes, all of it. Take a chance. Sit back and just watch. When you do this from center or heart focus, this is seen clearly. Merely all of our seeking takes us away from that which is sought. We contain it all. Life is rather crazy, to the mind, that is. All of its nice, neat, orderly ideas about how to conquer, how to come into personal happiness, how to manifest, these just fade away. Some of them go rather hard, some easier, depending on how tightly we were attached. But at one point or another, they all go. Things are not what they seem. To mind, at some point, it's all pointless, all backwards and upside down or skewed in some way. None of it makes any sense. Mind sense. It only seems to. One is perhaps tempted to just give up, to let it all go. And while we were taught that one shouldn't do this, that giving up is somehow bad, looked down upon, it turns out instead it's wisdom in disguise. Blessed is the mind that finally begins to decipher the humor in it all. That's part of awakening too. From one angle or another, quite everything is funny, and not in a mean or disparaging way either. Innocently amusing. Who'd have thunk it, huh? Hear, hear. So, what to do about it? How about nothing? When we don't know which way to turn or what's to be done, nothing could well be the best answer. It usually turns out to be wisest. Now, there's doing nothing, but again, there's doing nothing. Though the words be the same, the meaning isn't. Just as, for instance, there's the doing nothing of mind, which just sits back, goes to sleep, lays around. That's one nothing. The doing nothing of heart is another thing, though. Being in heart or closely in now is a foreign land compared to being in mind. From heart, one is aware, or you could say watching, self-observing. One is being shown things without necessarily knowing it. One is sitting back, but from within. What's going on outside could be quite anything. You could be chopping wood. Now, there's an even deeper yet doing nothing that most people aren't ready to acknowledge, much less recognize. This is the doing nothing of being danced, of being so beautifully centered that source or spirit does all of the doing that's being done. This one is the coolest doing nothing of all. Yet, look at these three. Look at the vastness of the difference between them. While the words are all the same, doing nothing, they bear no actual resemblance to one another, despite the same exact description. Doing nothing. How bizarre, huh? This compares well with being silent. The mind has its conception of the meaning of all words that it knows. Now, that doesn't mean the mind's conception is correct or even begins to approach truth. If we're talking 3D, the mind can be beautifully accurate. If we're talking higher dimensional stuff, to the mind, if the mouth is moving, if sound is coming out, that isn't silence. It seems so obvious, doesn't it? So logical and so linear. Yes, there is silence, and then there is silence. Here's my suggestion. To grow more closely into our togetherness, into our native unity, let's listen to one another from heart while being centered. When we do this, heart guides us into flow on the channel of meaning, which is far deeper than the superficial channel of words. Just as we are multidimensional, so too is our communication. We pass messages silently on wings of thought, on wings of heart. And we can be speaking, yet remain in utter silence. This is again a situation of being danced. Spirit is speaking, not us in that case, but few there are who can listen and discern it. It takes choice, many choices actually. You are one who can both listen and discern. Have you found it out yet? Have you uncovered this precious talent in the self? In the capital S self? It is there. So much is to be gained by not just saving centering for meditation, but turning the whole life into a meditation, a heart one. Walking around while centered within. Have you tried it? Do you feel you've succeeded? Are you quiet enough? For this, the mind must be quiet. The mouth may move or not move. Either way, it doesn't break this sort of being silent. One sign can be that there is no memory of what was said or in it. How is your memory doing? How is it making it through the transition with you? Do you find yourself forgetting things? Do you let yourself worry about that? I suggest not indulging that worry. I'd like you to know you're just fine. Right on track, in fact, so don't worry. It's a transitional thing. More and more letting go. Do you see it? Or rather, do you see it this way? For mind won't. Every bit of worry or anxiety that arises is a perfect thing to surrender. You don't need it. It's not even you. Just as you previously, if you've been working these journals, turned loose of all negative self-talk, this too can be surrendered, let go. Mind is that aspect that has a hard time of this transition into higher consciousness. Mind is quite naturally a creature of past and of habit. All of this waking up stuff is destructive to that, so mind tends to worry. You can watch it, just don't claim it. Don't identify with it. It isn't you. Go into heart and quietly observe. It's just passing through. You are magical. You are mystical somehow, a true treasure beyond all physical wealth. Yet the road to claim it is a very backward-seeming thing. Rather than adding to the self, it's to let go. The way to this wealth is to divest the self of this and that, seemingly endlessly. Now, the mind will listen to this while having its own thoughts about the things it treasures, how unwilling it is to have them taken away. Now, that's fine if you just don't listen. Don't get upset. Don't try to change it. It's best ignored. Mind has a hard time with so much of this. Often the way is just to let it and compassionately observe. You're not that. Mind cherishes worry. Mind thinks it's useful or it wouldn't engage in it. Yet you know it's not. And the more you let go of worry, the clearer your sight becomes. Worry's uselessness becomes more and more obvious. Even its damaging aspects begin to appear. How much will you let the self see? How many of the old beliefs programmed into the body-mind over the years since your birth Are you willing to simply release? By the time we hit 30, even sooner these days, we have clear enough evidence that our learning has in fact been programming. Not at all useful to us, but installed in service to others. The powers that were, you know. The brain itself doesn't fully mature, till mid-20s. So don't kick the self for not seeing more and seeing it sooner. There is much to be said for experience, and in 3D this appears to take time. Sure, it takes less and less time the way time has been accelerating, or what we're stuffing into it's been accelerating, and the way so many light beings are coming into embodiment. Yet it still takes a number of years for now. Be at peace with this. Here's something that can help if you choose to plant it as one of your belief garden flowers. You can't make a mistake. A lovely line of blooms. It's just not possible. Now stay out of mind with this. Keep and ponder it only in heart. It's not a mind thing. Nor is enlightenment. When mind gets enlightened, we call that the spiritual ego. It's not the real thing. What will it take, my dear compadres in this life, for us first to see and then accept our own native divinity? Goes against the programming. We can't leave this one to mind. Unless we want to spend some time as that spiritual ego. I don't think so. Stay strictly within with this one. You are divine. What does that mean? Have you pondered it yet? And if not, why is that? What's keeping you? Is it something that arouses some fear? It's worth looking into. What does it mean to be divine? Where does that take you? What visions, what ideas come up? Perhaps make some notes or journal them. They're good clues to help you clean up your belief garden. How does one do this? Be divine? Do you think it can be done? What does that look like? I don't want to give you too many answers here, or that takes away the job of your heart. Still, I will say it cannot be done. It's not something you do. It's something you uncover or discover, but it does itself. The whole idea of doing is very 3D, and it will fairly quickly go out of fashion with the awakening one. And fashion wasn't the right word there. That one will begin to see through it. All sense of doing tracks back to the mind. Mind thinks it does things. Mind is misled. Closer to the truth is that things do themselves beyond a certain point reached in the awakening process. It's a shift in perspective. Be flexible. It is spotty for a time, here again, gone again phenomena, but that's okay. Make peace with that. At least now you're familiar with what it feels like to be danced, not to be the doer of your actions. Now, don't expect others to get it. Those in heart will tune in, but for most it will still look like you're the doer in whatever gets done where you are. They will see the body engaged in this or that, identify you with your body, and have no clue that the body is being danced, and that spirit is the actor there. Well, that's understandable. One good thing to know during this process is that you are telepathic. And so is everyone else, though they mostly don't yet see or acknowledge it. Now, why is this good to know? Because you will hear the impressions, the thoughts of those around you. And if they're in mind, then they will give you a false reading, a superficial one. It's also good to know that other thoughts in your head appear much like your thoughts. So if you don't know about or own your telepathy, then you'll likely accept those false readings as how you think about things, how you see them. Does that make sense? In other words, their thoughts that you're the doer will seem like your own and may inspire you to question the self. However, once you get good at self-observing, you will note at some point how some thoughts come in phrased differently than how you phrase things, or perhaps use unaccustomed words. That could be your first clue, the indicator that maybe that thought is not yours. At that point, glance around, see who is there. Who could have generated that thought? Or rather, whose thought could it be that you picked up? Little things like this can really provide an assist in stitching together a fuller understanding of how things work. Remember, we were fed mostly or almost entirely lies pretty much all of our life. Until you're strong enough in yourself to see this, it may well just generate fear. Well, that's okay too. Remember, it's not possible for you to make a mistake. Just be careful about how you define your I. Look into your heart right now, right this instant. Take a moment to just look, feel, sense. Look at that purity, at that integrity. See the phenomenal beauty of the being, the divine being you are. It's right there before you once you enter within, and it's awesomely beautiful. This may be as close to the real you as you've yet gotten in this embodiment. This embodiment. That is divinity. That is perfection of intent. That is service to life at its finest in there. That really is higher self. That is source, walking the earth in your shoes, or feet if you go barefoot. Open up, make room for that, at least for the possibility. It can be strengthened and refreshed by further seeing, but this is aided by the knowing, even mentally, that you are divine. What we can see, we can be. Actually, the secret is you already are. You just have to wake up to it. I'll leave you with that. The actual experience of your own divinity is definitely available. It takes making some changes, sure, or you'd have seen it long before now, or maybe you have. So, take it on. You're no coward. Certainly not. Or you wouldn't be here. You're divine. The more you own it, the more it will show itself. You're not here in this life for the self, friend. You know you're the broader self. You're the one. You know this in heart. You came in service to that. Now's the time to recall. As you do so, you'll find the self going home. Home with the capital H. Once you, like the turtle, discover that you carry home with you wherever you go, you'll never feel lost or abandoned again. You can go home while you're right here on earth. And no matter where the body is, you can always be home. Namaste. Now I have a little footnote. If you're looking at the thoughts running through your awareness, space is no barrier. They may arise from others far away, thinking or dreaming you. So when I said, if you have a thought, look around and see who's there, you're not limited to just who's there, although that's just the most likely. Okay. See you again soon.